I always joked as a kid that the day I have 10K on YouTube, I'll be rich and famous and make a huge video to celebrate. Well, I'm 24. I'm not rich, but hey. Hi, my name's Cos Payton. I'm a professional cosplay pattern maker, and I just hit 10K on YouTube. Yippee! Which is really surreal and crazy because this time last year I was posting on Instagram asking if people could subscribe to me so I could hit 100 subscribers. Since this community has grown so rapidly, I figured the best way to make a video to celebrate 10K was to involve you, the community. I asked on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and Threads for your best cosplay tips and compiled 50 of them here for you today. I'm occasionally gonna pepper in my own little anecdotes and tips as I see fit, but I've already learned so much from all these tips. I have enough that I can't even all fit them into one video, so part 2 maybe if we hit 20K? They're in no specific order, and when possible I've kept in usernames so you can check out these amazing cosplayers. So without further ado, let's get into it. Always discuss contact lens usage with your optometrist. You don't need to wear lenses to complete a cosplay, but it's also completely fine to wear them if you want to and can. Just make sure you check in with an eye doc first. Contacts are considered to be medical devices and standards exist for a reason. Yes to all of this. Actually, one of my next videos, little tip for you here, is going to be all about contact cosplay usage and how to use them safely, so keep an eye out for that. Buy every pair of shoes one size too big and use heavy-duty insoles designed for warehouse workers. Mock-ups, mock-ups, mock-ups. If you're not sure about how the piece will look or even fit, mock it up in a cheap material before you cut into the good stuff. And an extra tip on top of that, keep your mock-ups to use as patterns later. You're finished with a costume when you're finished. Don't rush for completion. Don't put your mental or physical health at risk for a costume. There will always be next year. Yes, all of this. Con crunch is bad for you, and the glorification of con crunch is one of the worst things that has happened to the cosplay community. Take care of your body. No costume is worth your health or your sanity. I'm gonna start reading these off my phone because having to look over at my computer and look back at the camera is giving me neck pain. Do not hurt yourself attempting to look more like the character you're cosplaying. Adjust the cosplay to fit you. It can mean anything from don't jam your feet into uncomfortable shoes, to don't wear elaborate wigs that will pull your skin / hurt your neck, to don't starve yourself because the character is skinny. We are real people dressing up as imaginary characters. Accuracy is not worth real, lasting damage to your health. I have modified so many costumes not only for safety, but for my comfort as well. Sometimes I don't want to wear super short booty shorts, so I'm gonna make those longer. Whatever you want to do to make your cosplay comfortable for you is more than okay. Accuracy is only if you want to be accurate. Nobody else cares if you are 100% accurate, and if they do care, they're not your friends. This is a dance hack I've heard about that somebody brought into cosplay, but hairspray on tights to keep them from running. And also, if you're performing, always practice in full costume before the day of. This is so important, not just if you're performing, but if you're wearing a cosplay in general. You're gonna want to try on every single bit of that cosplay before the convention, including wig, proper undergarments, every layer of your costume, your props, to make sure it all fits nice together, to make sure it all feels nice. You don't want to find out while you're at the convention that there's a piece of boning in your bodice that's poking into your armpit all day, and you're uncomfortable all day. A simple try-on can fix all that. Physical bonds are stronger than chemical bonds. Sewing two things together will always be more stronger than gluing. But also, friends are nice. Don't be afraid to change things with a cosplay, even if it isn't exact to what the character is wearing. Like if they're showing more skin than you would want to show, don't be afraid to add more fabric to this. Yes, I touched on this earlier. I love modifying costumes for comfort. I found out that it's better to measure 3 or 4 times before cutting than to measure once and cut it wrong. Yes, measure twice, cut once is a very famous phrase in like all sorts of making, especially woodworking, and I definitely think it applies to cosplay as well. First of all, remember to have fun. Second, this community is freaking amazing and you will find so many wonderful resources online. Cosplay is not what it was 15 years ago, 10 years ago, or hey, even 5 years ago. Cosplay is always evolving, especially in the online community, and there are so many more resources for cosplayers than there were when somebody like I got started. Take advantage of them. Google, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, any social media. Check out blogs. They are all so helpful. There are so many wonderful people out there who will help you make your costumes and have resources to help you make your costumes. Take advantage of them. They're oftentimes free or very cheap. Take care of your feet. Nothing will make you more miserable than your feet hurting, blisters, etc. If you're gonna spend money on your cosplay, spend it on your feet. I personally oftentimes don't wear accurate shoes for characters. I instead have a couple of pairs of shoes that I consider like staple shoes that I use for different characters. I have a pair of like platform black shoes that I wear for Anne Boleyn and Rhea Ripley. Oftentimes buying accurate shoes might mean you don't have the time to break them in. You might be cutting corners, making them a little cheap because you know you're only going to wear them for one costume, and you're going to end up with shoes that are uncomfortable and hurt your feet. At a convention, you're walking around for 8, 10, 12, 14 hours a day. You want to be taking care of your feet because nothing is worse than swollen, blistered, raw, angry feet, and you have to wake up the next day and put on a pair of stiletto heels to walk around the convention center. I got a lot of ones like these, and they all boil down to the same thing. Do what you love and love what you do. Cosplay, at the end of the day, is a portmanteau of costume and play, and if you're not playing and you're not having fun, why are you doing it? Cosplay characters you love, don't just cosplay what you think is popular and will get you clout, and you will have so much more fun in the hobby. Have fun, be cringe, make friends, be kind. Those are the 4 pillars of cosplay in my mind. This one I feel like has a story to it. If you buy glue for stuff that you'll put on your skin, remember to buy glue remover. And for the love of anything, don't sleep with your fake beard on. Don't sleep with any makeup on, and especially don't sleep in your contacts. If you do, I will get you. Thank you. Always have an emergency repair kit handy. This should include, but not limited to, scissors, duct tape, and super glue. Depending on the setup you have, it could get extravagant. I always carry around a miniature sewing kit as well as a bunch of bobby pins, safety pins, and a little bottle of super glue with me on my con bag at all times. Because nothing is worse than when you just need that one thing to fix your cosplay and the cosplay repair room is either all the way across the convention or doesn't exist, because I know a lot of cons don't have them still. Always press those seams. Yes, 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 press as you sew. Do not press once you're done sewing. Press your seams as you sew and your costume will turn out 10 times better. Guaranteed. This one's in all caps. I think this person's very passionate about it. Cut your wig lace to fit your ear shape so you don't have to tuck it back. A wet stipples brush and eyeshadow is great for faux freckles and facial hair. I will also add on to this, it is great for fake blood splatter. If you don't want to actually be like splattering blood on you and risking getting it all over your costume or places you don't want, you can dip the stipple sponge in a little bit of that fake blood and stipple it on your face, and it still gives that splatter effect without all the mess. Velvet headbands for heavy wigs, holy moly. I am going to second this, and I am going to say do not wear these silicone wig grips, because if your wig cap slides back even a little bit, that silicone wig grip is latching onto your hair. I learned this the hard way when I wore my Rapunzel cosplay with a silicone wig grip. My wig cap slipped back, and the silicone wig grip pulled on my hair so hard that I ended up with a bald spot for 6 months. Don't make my mistakes, just wear the velvet wig grip. Put a clip onto gloves to attach them to your belt. Canon or not, it will help you from losing them. I've never heard of this one, but that is genius. The amount of times you have to take off and put gloves back on while you're cosplaying is crazy, and having a little way to secure them is so handy. If it looks good from 6 feet away, small mistakes don't matter. The only person who is ever going to be that close to your costume is you, and maybe judges if you're competing. But if you're just wearing your cosplay around the hall, it does not matter if it looks good from this close. Most people are going to be halfway across a con hall, seeing you, and going, "Oh my god, I love your costume!" And that's it. Experiment, experiment, experiment. I just learned my sewing machine can twin needle. Cosplay was built on the forefathers of making weird things out of even weirder things, and if they can do it, so can you. Nobody else knows you made mistakes, just enjoy your cosplay. Exactly, this ties in with the 6-foot rule from earlier, just have fun, nobody is going to notice. Need cheap mock-up fabric? Use thrifted bed sheets. I love the thrift store not only for buying things that you can thrift and modify for costumes, but also for going to the bed sheet and blanket section and buying fabric. I have a bunch of really gorgeous gold, buttery, soft, shiny leather that I got at the thrift store for $4 that I think if I bought at the fabric store it would easily be like $35 a meter. Gluing your wig to your face or gluing your eyebrows down with a glue stick to cover them. Yes, a lot of people don't know that you can glue your wig to your face with the same glue stick that you use to glue down your eyebrows, and you can also glue down your hairlines and cover them the same way you cover your eyebrows. This is perfect if you're doing one of those like helmet, hard front, oohoo glued, very specific hairline wigs and your actual hairline peeks out. You can just glue that bad boy down, cover it with some foundation and concealer, and you're good to go. Do your makeup, put a grocery bag on your head, and then put your costume on. Safer ways to do this, but it works. I definitely think there's a merit to be had about putting something over your head while you're putting your costume on. I wouldn't say use a plastic bag, But if you find like a breathable bag or like a fabric bag, that is the perfect idea. Nothing is worse than getting makeup all over the color of your white costume and you can't wash it off. Using eyeshadow or powdered makeup to color wig, ears, fake fur, etc. Eyeshadow and also very cheap chalk pastels. You can use very cheap chalk pastels in wigs to color wigs, even dark wigs. And you can use eyeshadow on things like fur and also to shade things like arm socks and elf ears if you cover your elf ears in body paint for like a fantasy color. Sometimes you just gotta use a hairdryer as a heat gun. Using chapstick on a stubborn zipper has worked every time. Now I have a dedicated zipper chapstick. I kind of love this. The amount of times I've gotten caught in costumes because of sticky zippers is innumerable, and I am personally going to be taking this hack and incorporating it into my cosplays. Putting a piece of tissue paper between your presser foot and fabric when sewing stretch vinyl. This works for any sort of vinyl or sticky fabric. You want to put something between your sewing foot and the fabric, whether that's tissue paper or water-soluble stabilizer, will help make your sewing so much easier. If you don't want to do that, my little tip is you can also buy specialized presser foots for this, whether that's a Teflon foot, which is like a certain kind of plastic, or a walking foot, which has little feet that help pull the fabric along like the feed dogs on the bottom of your machine, just on the top of your machine. I swear by my walking foot, it was $30 and it was the best $30 I've ever spent. I highly recommend everybody invest in a walking foot. Hi, editing Peyton here. A couple of my clips got corrupted and I am currently in my pajamas and no state to film, so you get to see my beautiful VTuber that I use on my streams, Zanirith. Use the same material for mock-ups. Stretch for stretch, non-stretch for non-stretch, etc. Artist inks and Sharpies are great for adding shadow roots and dimension to flat wigs. If you can't find the right color of something like fabric or a wig for cosplay, if you shift all the colors to match, no one can tell. Neodymium magnets are a great replacement for snap buttons in a pinch. Yes, I don't think a lot of people use magnets enough in their cosplays. My Mollymock cosplay with the horns were actually attached on my head by wearing a harness under my head with magnets on it, and the horns had magnets on them. And that way they could like seamlessly attach to my wig without having to do any permanent damage to my wig, because I use that wig for a ton of other cosplays. Find stuff to reuse / make into something else, either laying around your home or thrifting, for an affordable way to craft things for your cosplay on your own. This one's from one of my best friends who's not a cosplayer but is a scare actor. As a scare actor of 5 years, the dollar store makeup works just as good as expensive. If you're in a pinch and you live somewhere with a dollar store, do not be afraid to check out your dollar store. You never know what they might have. For example, in Canada here at Dollarama, we have like an entire aisle just dedicated to craft supplies, and the amount of like sewing supplies, craft supplies, acrylic paints, paint brushes you can get from there is invaluable. I buy almost all of my paintbrushes from Dollarama. This one's new to me. Use chopsticks when using hot glue to avoid burning your fingers. Very, very smart. I might start using this one. Setting powder works on body paint as well as regular makeup. Yes, set your body paint, please. We had this conversation back in the 2010s with the rise of Homestuck cosplayers who were using grease paint and getting gray body paint absolutely everywhere at conventions, but setting your body paint is so important. If you have setting powder, that works in a pinch, but also you can use eyeshadow, especially eyeshadow in the same color as your body paint. Not only will set your body paint, but also give it a little bit of extra layer of pigment for a more even coverage. Use puffy paint or hot glue for embroidered looks on cosplay. So much easier. I personally prefer puffy paint over hot glue because puffy paint is often meant for fabric, so it's gonna stretch and flex better with your fabric than hot glue would. A lot of Spider-Man cosplayers do this to do like all the hex webbing on their suit. Takes forever, looks so good in the end. Bring safety pins to cons. We already touched on con bags earlier and con emergency kits. Safety pins are so handy in a pinch if you don't want to glue something, if you don't want to sew something, and you just need to hold things together for a moment. Foam ruler for more accurate foam cuts. Yes, depending on the foam you use, it's going to have a certain thickness, which is going to affect how you construct it. The thicker your foam is, the longer you're going to need to cut things if you want to wrap them around a certain thing. For example, if say my wrist was 8 inches and I was using something like 6 or 8 millimeter foam, I might need to size it up to 9 or 10 inches to get it to completely wrap around my wrist, just to account for the thickness of that foam. Practice a stitch on a scrap piece of fabric before sewing on the actual piece, especially if you're using like the fancy or decorative stitches on your machine. Try and take a scrap piece of the fabric that you're sewing on and test it on that first. This one is in all caps. It says buy a bias tape maker. This is so helpful the further you get into your cosplay journey. You can buy bias tape at the store, but it usually only comes in 1 or 2 different fabric types. And the further you get into your cosplay journey, you're going to want different colors, you're going to want different fabrics, and it's so much easier to make your own bias tape if you have a bias tape maker. I bought the set of mine for about $10 and they've lasted me 6 years so far, and I don't see them breaking anytime soon. so I say they're a worthy investment. For example, my Zelda cosplay, all of the yellow detailing she has all around the costume is made entirely out of bias tape that I made myself. And I made so much of that bias tape that I still have it today. It's been 4 years. I'm still holding on to it. A handheld powered fan can really make the difference between a good and bad mood on a hot day. Even if you don't have like a handheld electrical fan, one of those big fans that you can just wave yourself in the face with, godsend. Whenever I go to Fan Expo Canada in August, it's usually about like 30 degrees Celsius outside and crazy humid, and I love bringing a fan. It is so nice to be in the middle of a crowd and being able to fan yourself and get a little bit of cool air on you, because if not, you're not getting it otherwise. For gluing down brows, lick the glue or spray it with water. It works better wet than it does gummy. This is a tip from my beautiful friend Rio, who is also a drag artist, and let me tell you, if you ever want to learn makeup tips or wig tips from anybody, learn them from drag artists. They have been doing it for decades, and they make makeup and wigs that stick and do not budge and do not move. Always trust their tips, because chances are they know what they're doing. Take ibuprofen before leaving for the con to alleviate wig or feet pain before it starts. I also always pack ibuprofen to a con with me. I used to not do this. I started to do this in the past year. And oh my god, you guys, having an ibuprofen in the middle of the day when everything hurts and sucks, life changer. Oh my god. I can't believe I've been going so many years without bringing ibuprofen to a con. I kept thinking like, it's ibuprofen. How much of a difference can it make? It makes a huge difference. Bring ibuprofen to cons. Sculpt pieces like horns out of aluminum foil, then cover with tape to draw out patterns and transfer them to foam. Actually, with my Senshi helmet pattern that I sell on my shop, the horns for Senshi's helmet, I actually made those by 3D modeling a horn, printing it out, covering it in tape. It's the same method, just a little bit more complicated because I have a 3D printer. It is such a helpful and invaluable little cheap hack. Have an idea board to keep you on track and have references handy. I cannot stress the importance, if you're making like a larger project, to have one place that stores all of your reference images as well as all of your resources. There's a couple different printable cosplay planners you can purchase out there, a couple of different apps, or if you're old school like this, you could just have an idea board and tack things up. I personally sell a cosplay planner on my shop that I use for my cosplays, but you are so welcome to use whatever works for you. For sewing, experiment with different sewing feet. They all support in different ways. Meal replacement bars and shakes are great to stow in your con bag. A granola bar or a small snack like that will work in a pinch to keep you satiated throughout the day, but also don't be afraid to leave the convention center and go get proper meals. I cannot stress the importance of eating a proper meal at a con. Please make sure you're eating 2 square meals a day. Your body will thank you. I'm convinced so many people are getting con crud not only because conventions are a germ factory, but because they simply don't take care of their bodies during convention weekends. They don't shower, they don't eat square meals, they don't wear the right footwear, and then the convention weekend ends and they're like, why do I feel terrible? I wonder why. If it's a fresh out of the bag wig, wash it. This isn't always necessary, but I definitely would recommend it if you're buying used wigs to wash your wig before you wear them. You don't know what the other person's got going on their head, and you don't want that going on your head. And there you have it. 50 cosplay tips from 50 cosplayers. If you have any more cosplay tips that maybe I didn't cover in this video, feel free to leave them below, and you never know, you might see yourself in part 2. If you want to support me, the best way you can do that is leaving a like, a comment, or a subscribe. I'm currently not in the YouTube partner program. It is way so far off of a goal for me. They make it so hard to get. I do this entirely for the love of the game and for the love of making videos. So any support from you really does encourage me to continue making more videos like this. If you want to find me around the internet, I'm on all social media at Cospay. Thank you so much for watching, and happy making!